I mean, Russian citizens living abroad, like, it's pretty obvious where you stand, because I can imagine if the UK had sent loads of tanks over into France and a bunch of French people and children were raped by British people, and UK started bombing flats there and terrorizing the population, and all French refugees were flying to Germany. I can imagine that I would go down to the British embassy and be quite radical there.
Mm-hmm.
So why are the Russians not doing that wherever they're at?
Because
They don't care,
because
right?
over here, no. In part, it's learned helplessness, but also because they're not used to it. Over here, like France is used to protesting. They invented it ever since the French Revolution, when they
Yeah,
started doing choppy chop for the first time. So they have a history and a legacy of doing just that. The
right.
Russians don't, and this is why normativity is so important. This is why the Maidan revolution of Ukraine in 2013-14 is so important, because that's the first time they really did it. Okay, no, not true. They have a history of trying to gain independence, but the first modern example we have
Mm-hmm.
of mass protests, of petitioning the governments, of honest to God modern revolution, the Russians don't have that. Right from the Tsars to being ruled by Lenin, being ruled by Stalin, and then being ruled by Putin. Yes, one was called communism, another one was just called monarchy, and now we say it's democracy. But it has always been Moscow dealing with everything, and Moscow just ruling over all the other regions with little to no autonomy for those regions. Hence the colonial empire, and hence this is not an excuse, but hence an explanation for the sheer inability to act on the side of the Russian people. It is learned helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to change that is by empowering them to change that, not by saying, well, you're screwed, nothing to help that. And that's what the majority of the neutral world, strangely, is doing. Saying, oh no, I'm against war. They shouldn't be fighting, so we shouldn't say send tanks, because then you say, okay, Ukraine get screwed, and you also say Russian people get screwed, because then you continue to empower the dictator. So staying neutral in the face of violence is choosing the side of the oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are still doing that. You think we'd learn from history, because if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it.
A lot of Muscovites were complaining at the start, and then I guess a lot of them are just like only start complaining once they're threatened. They're quite happy to just take over Ukraine, whatever. They don't care about refugees and stuff like that. So